Hey guys, welcome back to the DAHKTUBE, and today we'll be continuing from the Pythagoras theorem where we'll be doing trigonometric ratios. Now, if you have not watched the Pythagoras theorem, pause right here and go and watch it so that you have the foundation of what we're doing here. Quick recap again, the longest side or the side that is opposite to the right angle is called the hypotenuse, which is HYP for short. The side that is opposite to the angle is called the opposite, OPP for short, and the other side is called adjacent, ADJ for short. Now if you go to the triangle on the right, again, the angle that is opposite to the right angle, or the longest side, is the hypotenuse. The side that is opposite to the angle is the opposite, and the other side is the adjacent. So the hypotenuse is always known, however, the adjacent or the opposite depends on where the angle is. So let's get started. So we have this acronym here that we use to help us remember the trig ratios. And we say SOHCAHTOA. So what this means is sine the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So we have this acronym that we use to remember the trig ratios, and we say SOHCAHTOA. So what that means is sine the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, cos the angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan the angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. So these are the three key trig ratios that we will be doing and what we will be focusing on. So let's get started. Okay, so the first example here, we're calculating the side of the unknown, and here the unknown is Q. Now we look to identify what we have. So the first thing we'd look to see is that we have the hypotenuse, and we know that hypotenuse is the side that is opposite to the right angle, or the longest side. So we can label it and say this is the hypotenuse. Then we know that Q would be the opposite because it is the side opposite the angle that they gave us. So this is the opposite. So because we have hypotenuse, we have the angle, and we're trying to find the opposite, the only relationship between hypotenuse and opposite is sine. So that means we write our formula, sine the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So it's sine 53.4 because that is our angle. Opposite, we don't know what it is, that's Q, and hypotenuse is 19.4. Now we can write this as a fraction by putting it over 1. So whenever we have fractions that are equal, we can cross multiply. So we're cross multiplying. So it is 19.4 sine 53.4 is equal to 1 times Q, which is Q. Now if you put 19.4 sine 53.4 in your calculator, you will get Q to be equal to 15.67 centimeters when you round off. Here, the unknown side is B. So we look to see what we have. So we look and we realize that the 11 centimeters is opposite to the angle. So that means this is the opposite. And we know that the longest side, or the side opposite to the right angle, is the hypotenuse. So B is the hypotenuse. So again, the only formula that has the relationship between hypotenuse and opposite is sine. So now we have sine the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Again, we have the angle, so it's sine 42 is equal to the opposite, which is 11, over the hypotenuse, which is B. that is the unknown side. We don't know what it is. Again, you could write it as a fraction, and again, when you have fractions that are equal, you can cross multiply. So you have b sine 42 is equal to 11. Now you want to find b by itself. That means you're dividing both sides by sine 42. So this cancels this, and you have b is equal to, when you say 11 divided by sine 42, you will get 16.4 centimeters when you round off. So now we're going to do an example of when we're calculating an unknown angle. Now if you look here, the unknown angle is P. So if you look at the 7.3, you realize that the 7.3 is the opposite because it is opposite the angle. So this is opposite. 9.4 would be the hypotenuse because it is the longest side and it is opposite the right angle. So again, we have opposite, hypotenuse, and we're trying to find the angle. So you think which of the three ratios has opposite and hypotenuse in it? Again, that's sine. So it's sine the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So again, we don't know what the angle is, but we know that we're finding P, and that is equal to the opposite, which is 7.3 over 9.4. Now if you find 7.3 divided by 9.4, you would get 0.78 when you round. Now we want to find P only. So what that means is P is equal to sine inverse of 0.78. So in order for us to get rid of sine, we have to multiply sine by sine inverse. And sine inverse times sine gives you I, which is the identity. And anything times the identity is itself. So that is why we have sine inverse 0.78. So now P is equal to, when you click sine inverse on your calculator, what you do is you press shift, sine, and 0.78, and you get P is equal to 51.3 degrees. So now, with this other example, we're trying to find the unknown side. So we look to see what we have. Now the 10 centimeter is opposite the right angle. That means this is the hypotenuse. The opposite would be here, because this is opposite the angle. That means this is the adjacent. So we have the hypotenuse, we have the angle, and we want to find W, which is the adjacent. So we think what ratio has hypotenuse and adjacent in it? And that would be cos the angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Now we have cos the angle, which is 17, is equal to adjacent, which we don't know, that's W, over the hypotenuse, which is 10. Again, you could put this over 1 so that you have fractions that are equal and you can cross multiply. So you have 10 cos 17 is equal to W. That means W is equal to 9.56 centimeters. So we have another example here, calculating the unknown side. So if we look here, we look and we see that Z is opposite the right angle, so that means that Z is the hypotenuse. The side that is opposite to the angle would be here. That means here is the adjacent. So again, we think and we realize that the ratio that has adjacent and hypotenuse is again cos angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So now we have cos 33 is equal to 10 over z, which is the hypotenuse. So again, fraction, cross multiply, we have z cos 33 is equal to 10. We want z by itself, so that means we're dividing both sides by cos 33. So this cancels this, and then z is equal to 11.9 centimeters. So for this example, we want to calculate the unknown angle, which is x. So again, we look to see what we have. So we know that the longest side, or the side opposite the right angle, is the hypotenuse. We know that the side opposite the angle is the opposite, so this would be the opposite. So that means the adjacent is here. So because you want to find the angle, and you have adjacent and hypotenuse, we have to use the cosine ratio. So we have cos the angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So we have cos x is equal to 8 over 12. And if you calculate 8 over 12, that's going to give you 0.67. So again, we want x by itself. So just like we did with the sine and the sine. So because we want x by itself, we have to multiply both sides by cos inverse. So we have x is equal to cos inverse 0.67. So x is equal to 47.9. So with this example, again we'll be calculating the unknown side. Here, we know that the side that is opposite to the angle is the opposite, so y is the opposite. And we know that this would be the hypotenuse, so that means this is the adjacent. So we think what ratio has opposite and adjacent in it, and that is tan. So we have tan, the angle, is equal to opposite over adjacent. So it's tan 27 is equal to opposite, which is y, over adjacent, which is 8. So again, fraction, cross multiply. So we have 8 tan 27 is equal to y. If you put that to your calculator, you get y be equal to 4.7 centimeters. So again, we'll do this example where we're calculating the unknown side. So here the unknown side is m. Now the side that is opposite to the angle is 5, which is the opposite. The hypotenuse would be here, and this is the adjacent. So again, the formula that we'd use is tan the angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. So it's tan 25 is equal to the opposite, which is 5, over m. Again, you can cross multiply. So we have m tan 25 is equal to 5. And we want m by itself, so we're dividing both sides by tan 25. So these cancel. So m is equal to 5 over tan 25, which is 10.7 centimeters. Last example, let's say we want to calculate the unknown side. First, we have to look to see what we do have. So 5.8 centimeters is opposite to the angle, so that means this is the opposite. 10.6 would be the adjacent, and here would be the hypotenuse. So because we have the opposite and the adjacent, and we're trying to find the angle, that means again we're using the tan formula. So we have tan the angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. So we have tan W is equal to the opposite, which is 5.8, over the adjacent, which is 10.6. So you have tan W is equal to 0.55. Just like we did with the sine and the cosine, where we wanted to make the angle the subject, we have to multiply both sides by tan inverse. So we have W is equal to tan inverse 0.55. That means W is equal to 28.8 degrees. So that's basically all there is to trigonometric ratios. Thank you guys for watching. You can comment in the section topics you want me to cover, and you can just comment in the section and let me know what you thought about the video. So thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.